Hey, my name is Noi and I will tell you why Druid is much better than people think. It's my second favorite class. Druid is insanely tanky. You have a lot of single target damage, CC and AoE. Also, you will be the best supporter endgame. And that's what the guide is about. In the end, you will see the full gameplay of a dungeon run, so you have some proof why this build is easy to repeat and actually insane. And I would say let's jump straight into the guide and the legendaries and talents you have to use to enjoy your Druid. So Druid is built around some legendaries you need to go for. The build is the Werwolf poison minion build. You have some amplifiers, and the legendaries you need for this build are the Werewolf legendary. That makes that your minions, your wolves, will be transformed into an werewolf. That's really important. Because they amplify rabies, but it's about the extra damage, 100% extra damage. If you, and I recommend it to you, put this effect on a two-handed weapon, you get twice the amount, which is really important. So put it on your two-hand. The second item you need is the 125% bonus damage for minions, active minion skills, and you gain one additional companion, which means we have two wolves, one more. That's a big increase. That's a really big increase, 50%. And then this legendary, you have increased dodge chance, but more importantly, when an enemy which is affected with a damage over time effect attacks you, you get 10 primary resources, and that's big. You spread your poisons really fast. You can go with rabies, I will talk about it later on, to get even more resource. Helps a lot and makes the playstyle a lot better. Other legendaries I take Cyclone Armor. So your Cyclone Armor spreads onto friends and your summons. That's big. It's Cyclone Armor is a 20% always. Then you can go for damage reduction on basic skills. 25% is a lot. I also go for basic skills, gain attack speed. So your basic attack is a lot faster, which means you generate more spirit on single target. And damage reduction while shapeshifted. I thought it's cool. There are better options. For example, you can go here. You heal X amount of life per second for close enemies. You are melee. Would take this one instead. Other things I use is 20% increased crowd control duration and deal increased damage to unstoppable enemies, more boss damage. There's a legendary that you do 6% more damage for every companion. I haven't found it yet, but that's something I can recommend. On boots, I have Becoming Injured while crowd control grants you unstoppable. This one is good for hardcore. I'm honest, I haven't found any better option, but still, if you have the werewolf, companion, and the resource, you are on a pretty good way. Talents. When it comes to talents, build is around poison damage and minions. We have Claw as our main attack. We don't need it for damage, but we need it to amplify poison damage easily. Why? Because if we poison the enemy, we get more resources, more spirit, which is good. Shred is our main attack. It does a cleave, and the third attack is a poison. A poison cleave. So more enemies poisoned, more resources we get through the ring. You get also life, like heal, kind of not life steal, but heal on hit and attack speed. That feels really good. And then you go for third combo attack is poison. Here I have some extra point. I put in crit. It was the best option for the last skill. You don't have to. Cyclone armor or blood hole, it really depends. In endgame, when we get our perma werewolf ability, you can go for blood hole. I like cyclone armor. I think it's in crew play much better, and it gives you damage reduction, which isn't needed actually. I like it because I can face tank the butcher, for example, and other abilities. Which helps a lot with the legendary. If you don't take it, you have a slot more where you can also use rabies. Rabies, it's an option we will talk later on about. It's down here. Helps you spread poison, therefore you get more resources back. Yeah, blood hole was my leveling option. I think blood hole is great while you level, so you can take that. Here comes the most important section. It's the companion section. Something you have to go with this build is wolves. Put every point you can get into wolves. Increases passive damage when they auto attack. Also increases their active. The active, when you press the button, all of your wolves jump to the enemy. You will see in the gameplay. That's how I one-shot rares and do decent boss damage, also to the butcher. Then enhanced wolf pack. All the enemies are poisoned and slowed. I will tell you how you slow them. So you deal 20% more damage. And even if you have not so much crit in beta, critical strikes, your wolves gain 20% attack speed. I have 12%. It's okay. It's nice. It's nice for 1 point. Then I skill vines. You should really use the vine active. And then also like go for the second points. What are vines? You see vines spawn randomly. I think that part is pretty useless. Don't know when those were hitting bosses, or for example because I'm close to them. Much more important is the active. It's on a 20-second cooldown, and all enemies in a circle around you get immobilized and poisoned. This effect with the ring, which gives you more active damage for pets, is really strong, and you do around 1000 damage. You shred smaller minions. It's a nice burst. And poisoning enemies gives you resources. Then your companions deal 30% bonus damage. It's big. 30% for both. We will take that. Here, if you really dislike vines, you can go rabies. Or if you don't want to play with cyclone armor, you can go rabies. Rabies helps you spreading poison on a shorter cooldown. I would go for rabies 1 point. Then faster spread. Because faster spread means more resource, more spirit, more shreds. And shred, I like when shred, the ability I use spirit with, hits really fast and I can use it often. Really, really important, put 1 point in neurotoxins. Why? You poison all the enemies. And poisoning all the enemies means they are now slowed all the time. And why is that so good? On weapons and other gear you can get plus damage to crowd controlled or slowed enemies. You also can get gems in your weapons, the green ones, which gives you plus damage to crowd control, if I'm correct. And all that damage will be amplified for this 1 point. And as you can see, even with only my weapon, damage to slowed enemies, I get plus 16 damage. That's big. So I can recommend it to you. And that's the build. The build plays pretty easy, and I would say watch the gameplay for yourself.
I must wait a moment. I must wait a moment. I'm not ready yet.
If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like, helps me a lot. And leave a subscription, that's cool for me, so you can stay tuned and see all the cool builds I come up with. I will mostly focus on Rogue and Druid on game release, because I love those classes the most. And we will talk about a lot of stuff when it comes to Diablo itself. So if you want the news and the insights of all the Diablo developer interviews, then this is the right channel for you. Nevertheless, have a good one and see you on Sanctuary.